I want to start doing more lives just because I feel like it's more convenient to do lives rather than try to make a video when I can just make a live. And know is that I'm only on I've started working on the other YouTube channel more recently. Do something here. But the other one focuses on the Spanish, where this one focuses on English kind of subjects, and I talk about the same stuff on both, but one is in Spanish, one is in English. I didn't know that the only reason I can do lives here is because I'm above 50 subscribers, and then the other one, Anyway, if you guys are someone that like listens to Spanish or prefers content, it could go to one time in Espanol and give it a subscribe so that I can eventually people can come in and say certain things and we can talk based on what we see in the chat and stuff like that as well. Today I was gonna talk to you guys about um, something in particular that I think it's something that happens a lot. Um, that I think other side of things than reality, even to put it that way. So let me just look this thing up. I wanna see something because I'm struggling with some things here with going live because I want to go live with well, you guys can't see it, but it's the mic that I have. I want to with actually let me so that there's not this deal with the mic how it sounds here. But let's see. Okay. I want to see something. Cause I want to see if my live appears on here on my other phone, so that because maybe I can use this other phone to go live and moderate it from. It's a whole, it's a messy thing there. But it seems like I am able to, so that's cool. That's nice. That's good. All right. Maybe okay. But let me huh, let's do this. Alrighty. Okay. Um. So let's talk about what we were gonna talk about today because that's what we're here to do. What we are here to do. Talk. And as somebody who is inclined in philosophy, or like I I'm a fan of philosophy, I guess you can say that. I like to learn. I like to study philosophy itself because there's something about philosophy that really, ever since I started learning it, I realized how much use there actually is on a day-to-day life, really. But certain parts of philosophy can be very unpractical, or they're more about having a particular discussion, or that to discover some further understanding about something that we can't even prove and stuff like that. Like philosophy can get like that, right? But it can be practical, and I think this is one of the more practical things that you can learn by learning philosophy or reading philosophy. But it's one thing that I've like. This is one part of philosophy. So I don't know if have you like if you as somebody who questions a lot and you're having an argument with someone like in your family.
Can I watch now?
Sorry. Can you close the door, please? Close the door, please. Thank you. Sorry, the little one's there. But I don't know if you, as somebody who I'm philosophically inclined, and because I read certain things, and I have sort of a way of questioning things, which is simply just trying to figure out what's being said, figuring out figuring out the gaps in the stories based on what the people are saying, based on the details that they're giving. There's always going to be, well, if unless they have the real information and they're not speaking out of their ass, then you're going to find um, that their stories don't make sense, or there's certain things that don't quite add up. When you speak what it is, the questions that come towards you, you're able to answer them. But when somebody's speaking emotionally, or when somebody's speaking uh, ignorantly, it'll be hard for them to be able to answer logical questions. Questions that, in one way or another, sometimes debunk your statement, or they completely make your statement invalid when the answer to a particular question is answered. I have had conversations with people where they have literally gotten upset with me because they said, "There you go with your philosophy shit about this and that. You and your freaking philosophy. It's why you're like this." And it's like, wait a minute. Look, if it's funny that they're gonna say, "Oh, it's because of your philosophy that you're like this." It's like, well, maybe, but if anything, what I'm doing is questioning things. And I think that you don't have to necessarily be this super philosopher or whatnot, right, to become somebody who can find these gaps in the stories, or can figure certain things out, or figure out that something doesn't make sense, or that something doesn't add up. You don't have to be super extreme philosophical about things to be able to figure out how to speak to someone in such a way that you can get to the bottom of whatever is going on. What's the problem with that? If anything, it's like speaking clearly. In any discussion where you, or where someone is stating something, or where someone is accusing you even of something, you are to ask all the questions that will lead where the discussion, regardless of whether it goes to side A or to side B. What you're trying to get to is the truth of the truth of the discussion, the reality of what's really happened, or as close as it can be. Is this a shark tooth? Honestly, I don't know. I got it in Seattle for about $1. I just thought it looked really nice, so I said I can't miss out on it. But yeah, so look, I have a situation where sometimes people will ask me questions and they think I'm just making shit up, because they come to me and they ask me certain questions, and I actually have an answer to the questions. Unlike most people don't have answers to certain questions that are critical questions, right? Sometimes, because I lead my life, or I try as much as I can, I'm not perfect, right? But I try to lead my life in a particular way where, like it is how I say it, what I feel is what I express, what I think is what I express, right? My ideas, my beliefs, not just what I feel. My intentions, like, I don't mind expressing intentions, and be honest about it. I really don't. And when people come and they're like, "Hey, well, what the fuck is going on over here? What blah blah blah," I'll be like, "Hey, hey, 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 hold up. What's going on? Why are you coming at me like this? What's up?" "Oh, it's because you this, you that, you this, you that." "Okay, why do you say that?" "It's because you freaking did this." "Okay, do you know why I did that?" "No, but who freaking cares?" That's already a too ignorant person, because they are not caring about the information or the details of uh they're not caring about the details of the truth. They're not caring about the real uh they don't care about the details that will prove something even. They just will say, "I don't care you freaking did that or this and that, which I understand this in certain cases is like, I mean, you freaking did, I mean, and you are responsible, right? But my thing is, when you are somebody that has the answers, you almost look like you're making it up on the spot, and they get angry because you actually have answers to these questions, not to what's the torque spec for an 89 Jeep. Come on, bro. I'm talking about philosophically, bro, or like about my life, about what I do. Of course, like I have the answers to what I do, how I behave myself. I don't mind people questioning me. Like I really don't mind people questioning me. I just find it funny that some people, because they look at me and they see that I read certain things or that I study certain things or that I question things and certain things, when we clash with one another and they realize that I'm implementing these ideas that I already have on how to talk, basically, like how to get to the bottom of something, how to ask the right questions, it's funny to hear them say that I'm being this annoying way and stupid just because of my philosophy or just because of my stupid philosophy or because of philosophy. Like, um, man, I thought you could help. You're in it for yourself. I see. You know what's funny? I think even when we're kind to another person, we're doing it for ourselves. Even when you do something good for someone else, you are doing it for yourself. You're doing it for that the desire to please your necessity to feel like you're doing something good for someone else. It's like it's literally you're just trying to get that good feeling. It ends up being a selfish thing. But come on, man, this channel is not a it's not an automotive channel, so you're in the wrong channel if that's what you're trying to get here. But sorry, buddy. But yeah, yeah, like I was saying, so I find it ironic, it's it's a it's a it's something that it shouldn't even be necessarily tied to like you're a freaking annoying philosopher, so like I don't understand, like I don't see the correlation. um I mean, I could see it, but I guess you'd have to you like to use that as your argument. Like when if anything, this thing is this idea of like philosophy, I'm only having a conversation with you. You know what's also interesting, that some people use more rhetoric than actual uh conversational truth and actual dialogue. Some people prefer rhetoric. And when you have rhetoric and you have somebody who is able to catch, like if you're using syllogisms or if you're using a certain way of speaking, which is to try to portray certain things and stuff, you will have somebody who's able to catch the gaps and the nonsensical statements that you're making using your rhetoric. Somebody will be able to find those things and they will question you on it. And if all you're doing is using rhetoric, all you're doing is trying to convince someone of something, and you're doing it emotionally, the chances are that if you run into somebody who questions things, you're gonna get annoyed, and you're probably gonna tell them, "You and your fucking philosophy." Like that's what they're gonna say. I've had multiple people get mad at me because when they accuse me of something, I start asking questions. I start asking questions, and rather than going through the conversation, getting to the bottom of it, concluding the whole thing, and we finally, okay, that's where it's at. Now we know what's going on. Then we can now say what I thought is not what I thought. What I guess what you thought makes sense. I get it now. Or the other person saying, "Man, I guess I was wrong," or like you were saying, "I guess I was wrong in what I was thinking. Looks like you're right," or "Looks like I'm right. Looks like I'm the one that's that has the better details here, so we can kind of agree on the fact is this, right?" It's multiple people to me when I try to do that, they will run away from the conversation. They don't want to answer those questions. And I'd be happy if they did. I'd be happy if they did because I think if they did, they would come to the realization that there is no escaping the reality, that once you start moving towards reality, you're not going to pick and choose what you're going to find. Once you get to reality, you got to reality, and whatever you find there is what you're going to find, whether it benefits you or it benefits the other person. And most people are afraid of that. Most people are afraid that um, the conversation is going to end up in a way where their card house is going to tumble, is going to fall, because speaking emotionally, trying to convince someone of things with rhetoric and not speaking honestly, you will soon find out that it's hard to keep a foundation that way. You will soon find out that you can't even speak to people because you can't even say the truth anymore about some simple thing because your lies, or you're making things up, or you're continuing to behave in a way that's not realistic, or it's not based on reality about other things. You you're gonna find soon enough that you're controlled now by that. You're controlled by that rather than maybe not even yourself, but because if you're searching for the truth and you act based on the truth, then that would be in a sense like you're you it would be like in a sense you're enslaved to the truth, maybe even, right? That one is tough to be, because you don't want to be a slave of anything. But if you're going to be a slave of something, it'd be better than that it's the truth than to be enslaved by your emotions, I'd say. I think that that might be a bit better, but obviously extreme truth goes sometimes to some iffy situations because maybe, right, like, I mean, we can get into that debate because it can be like sometimes being a little preserved rather than saying the full truth about something. It might be better in certain ways, and I'm not saying that you got to be a liar, but I can see why some people say, "Oh, there's a balance." Yeah, like not everyone's 100% honest and all that kind of stuff. So I get that, right? But I feel like most people live with all these lies, or making things up, or behaving emotionally, or acting irrationally. Um, they lie even about white lies, like you stopped at 7-Eleven and you can't tell your partner that you just stopped at 7-Eleven after work, and they're like, "Why were you 5 minutes late?" I had some trouble with the car or something like that, right? Which maybe later on they come to the realization, "Hey, you didn't have any troubles with the car. You went to 7-Eleven, and now I know that." What do you do when they find that out? What do you do when you've been caught about these freaking lies, and now it's much better to just say it like it is. Even with white lies, there's really no need. Any lie, whether it's white, gray, black, whatever lie, however deep, it ends up building a particular foundation in which after that lie, that foundation would it needs to be covered. But because it's not true, the way it gets covered is with more lies. Once the lie comes to light, it's no longer a lie, it's a confession, right? It's a confession about the truth of the thing that you actually did. But it's not like you're no longer lying about it. But if it remains a lie, you continue to have a false foundation. And for me to live based on a false foundation, I find that to not really be living whatsoever either, because if something that is not true, or if something is a lie, that means it's not true. And if you're living a life based on lies, how does that make you feel about your own life? I'll say that again. If a lie is not true and you live a life based on lies, what does that say about your life? I don't know. But I don't like how that feels. I'll tell you that. I don't like how that feels. And so I try to work with it in ways that I can try to at least, to put it in simplistic terms, walk my walk and talk the talk, say it like it is. And if I do, or if I say something that I end up having to be responsible for, or I get consequences because of it, I have nothing but to just be responsible for it. And that's it. So, but I find it ironic when you get to talk to someone who is sometimes making things up, or who is uh, not willing to go through the conversations about things because they don't want to answer particular questions, and they want to tell you, you and your freaking philosophy shit, man. Like, that's why this, that's why that, that's like if philosophy is a bad thing, when philosophy, if anything, if anything, my friends, is something that teaches you about life, something that teaches you certain, or it helps you. It something that teaches you how to learn a little bit more about different types of things and different stuff, different parts of life, different parts of existence. It helps you question, it helps you to not have ignorant ass people with dumb rhetoric that want to say a bunch of other things, but you as a philosopher fanatic or whatever, you know how to talk to these people so that they don't manipulate you, so that they don't try to use their lies and their rhetoric and their emotions to try to accuse you of things without you realizing anything and asking the right questions. If you see that they run from the questions, you run away from the to the other side as well, because somebody who is not willing to answer the questions in a conversation, yeah, a lot of times means trouble, because the likelihood is that that person has particular ideas, particular beliefs, and without addressing if they're true or not, that person will behave towards you like if those things are true. If they're saying, nah, I'm not gonna fucking answer your questions, and they go away, whatever they left with, that's what they're gonna stick with. And most likely that's what they're gonna behave towards you with, because they didn't go through the whole conversation to actually understand what's going on. You know, conversation is the biggest way that we can understand each other. So why do we run from it? Why? If you want to understand something, the best way is to talk about it. I mean, specifically referring to a situation with like another person, with you, your interlocutor. If you're speaking with someone, the best way to understand them is to actually ask questions. And the best way for them to understand you is for you to answer those questions and answer them honestly. What's the problem? Unless you were one using emotional things to argue your points, and therefore answering the questions is actually not going to make sense. It's not. Anyways, philosophy is not just, it's not a bad thing. And I think it's silly to say, to accuse people that do philosophy as if what they're doing is a bad thing, because having conversations with them is difficult. It's not difficult. Having conversations with somebody who's philosophically inclined is not difficult. You just have to be honest. You just have to be real about it. Is that a problem? Is that a problem to anyone? If it is a problem, then you're the problem. Because why not answer the questions if you have nothing to fear? I've gone live for about 30 minutes, and I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I had one little troll here, but it's fine. He keeps it a little bit. He kept it a little bit fun here, so um, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be doing these lives more. I feel like I like them a lot more than the well. I like the ease of it, and right now with everything going on, I'm having to get a new place to relocate and get a new apartment. So everything's kind of like right now a little hectic, a little over a little all over the place. But like this, I can continue. Um, but I gotta do the Spanish. I gotta do more stuff in Spanish so that I can get 50 subscribers, start going live in Spanish. Gotta go live in Spanish for the Spanish people. We gotta talk to them too. We gotta see, because I listen to Hispanic content, Spanish content, and English speaking content, and both worlds have a lot of amazing things to offer. So I think it's nice that I'm able to share a piece of both sides, um, and if anything, bring them back here from Spanish to English, from English to Spanish. However, like bring ideas from Hispanics to the English, from the English to the Hispanics. I like that, so got to get that channel. But anyways, that was extra. That was unnecessary, to be honest. But I will see you guys on the next live. And I guess I usually say something, but it's because I don't want it. Uh, eh, you know what? We'll just leave it at that today. I'm not gonna do all that. See you guys on the next live. You guys take care, and uh, don't don't be trying to manipulate people with your emotions, with your rhetoric, with lies, because if you're speaking to the wrong person, I guess in this case for you, right? But maybe it's actually the right person. They're gonna call you out, and they're gonna show you that your stuff actually doesn't make sense. And what are you gonna do? Just get mad at that point? Just get angry at that person? Why? Because they're actually asking truth? Come on, man. Don't be that guy.